What's up, friends and family? I'm Coach Sandy, and welcome back to another episode of RevTalks, where we talk everything well-being, health, wealth, relationships, and the best part is the science of human performance. But today we're going to dial in on something called stress and how to make it work for you instead of against you. We're going to explore the latest research on stress. I'm going to share some personal stories about what happens when stress goes unchecked for a long period of time, acute stress, chronic stress, and really the main thing is being able to give you practical tips so that way you can thrive under stress. All right, so let's clarify something, because your brain doesn't really understand the difference between the fight or flight or that stress response, let's say when you're fighting a saber-toothed tiger or when you're about to give a presentation in front of a classroom. The stress response is really the same, because research really shows that acute stress or that instant stress, that fight or flight, can really improve performance, enhance your focus, and make sure that you're adapting to that situation, which is good because let's say we were fighting a saber-toothed tiger, you'd want to be able to adapt. But let's say that stress is now chronic, it's no longer acute, it's happening over days, weeks, years at a time. That's where our body really starts to take a toll. Alright, sorry about that, guys. Some lighting issues happened downstairs, so we are changing locations. We're currently upstairs over here at Rev. So before, the other scene was my office, and now we're up here in the media room. Should have started over here regardless. But let's keep it going, because we were talking about chronic stress and how chronic stress can really lead to burnout, to hypertension, to cardiovascular disease, and all of these things if they're not taken care of. I think cardiovascular disease is still, number 1 or number 2, maybe top 3 for why most people die in the U.S. So we need to make sure that we can prevent that. So in a recent podcast and YouTube video, they did a study. They ran a study, and it was 2 groups of people. And in those same groups, they ran the same amount of stress. They stressed in the same way. But before that, they told them, hey, this stress is going to be good. And then another group is, obviously there's a neutral group, so maybe there's 3 groups. There's one neutral, they didn't say anything, applied that same stress. There's another group that was actually told, hey, this, whatever happens is good. And then the other part, the third party was, hey, this, whatever's happening is going to be bad. So then they went into that stress and had that stimuli with already those preconceptions of whatever was going to happen. Afterwards, they tested their cortisol, they tested other hormones, their stress levels, all of those things, right? And it came out that obviously the neutral group, that's their standard, but the people that were told that it was good showed a much less response to that stressor. So with that being said, they showed minimal amounts of what you would get during a workout, a really intense workout, because that is stress. Going through a workout, I know some of you can attest to that here at the tribe, but you go through it and it's stressful, so you have some elevation of cortisol and all those things. But the people that were told that it was going to be a bad stimuli or bad stressor, theirs skyrocketed, and it was much higher, and it was significant. So then that way they concluded that whatever your mindset is towards that thing, that is going to play a much bigger role than the actual stressor itself, if that makes sense. And trust me, I know it's a lot harder to actually live out stress-free, because there's so many things being thrown left and right. But when stress becomes untreated or you don't address it right away, it's going to lead to other things like we talked about earlier, whether it's the hypertension or cardiovascular disease. And I do want to throw in my own personal story, because there is always something going on, whether it's with the business or my previous business, which is the example I'm going to share with you guys here shortly, or family, or balancing personal life, all of these things. There's all of these things that are pulling you in different directions. I'm sure with you, it might be kids, or it might be work, or whatever you have going on, but everything is pulling you in different directions. Now, all of that causes some type of stress. For me, personally, I remember I do my best to meditate, to journal, to pray, and making sure that I stay connected with what I believe in, which is God, and making sure that I'll do my part and I'll do the best I can, but everything else I will pray and leave it up to God. But when it comes to certain things, like in my previous business, I remember it was just like a big snowball effect. And I couldn't get on top of it, of just managing that stress. And I know that one day it ended up getting to me. And I was driving to the facility. I had to have a really hard conversation with 2 employees, and none of my other business partners wanted to take part, and I needed to be the main one to make that call. So when I was driving over there, I had heart palpitations, and I didn't know what it was at first. Obviously, I was in the medical field before. I've seen people go through like panic attacks and all of that. But what I was feeling was, it was like 2 hard thumps and then it would stop. And it scared me because I was driving on the freeway, first of all, and it wasn't like what you feel your pulse. Like, it was hard. And I remember it happening twice. And then I freaked out even more because of that. And I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I am going to work. I'm about to have a really hard conversation, but I'm having like this feeling. I didn't have any tightness. I didn't have any other symptoms. It was just like a very hard thump in my chest, and it just happened twice. And then I talked to my mom. She obviously talked some sense into me, let me know that everything was going to be okay after having that conversation, just going in there, taking a deep breath. I got off the phone with her and really just like reconnected, made sure that I was in the right like state of mind going into that conversation. So I was able to do that, had the conversation, and I haven't had anything since. But that's where, and thank God I don't have like anxiety or panic attacks or anything like that on a consistent basis. But that was that one point that I'm like, if I don't take care of myself, I don't want to experience that again. And so that was about 3 years ago now. And ever since then, I'm like, all right, making sure to prevent that from happening. So having those things in place, and we're going to talk about it here because I want to make sure that you have practical tools to manage your stress. Because again, if you just keep pushing it down, if you keep neglecting it, if we don't address it, then it's only going to get worse. So then how do we really ensure that we can use stress in a positive way rather than letting stress use us? So I want to give you guys some practical tips on how to do that. So here are 5 things that we can do to have those tools, and have those tools in your toolbox next time we feel like we are overwhelmed or very anxious about these things. So the first one is really reframing. And we talked about it a little bit before, like into that science experiment that Huberman was running. And it really just is the perception of that stressor. And a perfect example of this is when I went skydiving earlier this year, or last year. We went, and obviously, like, you're nervous, you're excited, I'm about to jump out of a plane, and it was me and one of my members that were gonna do it. And like I told RC, I was like, hey RC, like I'm pretty nervous. And then like the guy that you're like jumping with and you're tandem with him, he's like, all right, you're gonna jump down, you're gonna have me the whole time, like listen to my directions. We already went through everything. Now it's like time to execute. He's like, yeah, are you nervous? Are you excited? And I was like, I am nervous. Like I'm both. I'm nervous that I might die, but I'm excited that I can jump out of a plane. And like my mom was there just in case anything happened at the bottom. She didn't jump with us, but so he's like, well, you know that the same feeling of those nerves, your body can perceive as excitement. Like you're thinking that you're nervous, but really your body has the same stimulus either way. So why not see it as excitement? So like be happy. And he was like hyping me up, right? Like obviously that's his job, but I was like, yeah, like I don't have to be nervous. So first thing is reframing that. Second thing is really just mindful breath work. Whether you've heard of box breathing, of just meditating and being in that state. And like meditating I used to do, because some of you guys know that I did martial arts for 10 years. And I feel like at that point in my life, from like 8 to 18, I was able to do it. But now trying to get myself back in that state, it's something that I haven't been able to do. So something that I like to do personally is just going for walks. And that's where I find my meditation, because I'm out, I'm usually having my dog with me, and I'm out in nature. So I can just enjoy those things, because that will easily calm me down. If I'm having a really stressful day, if I just need some time alone, or like I honestly like time alone to pray too, and I can do that on a walk. So find your meditative state, whatever that is for you. Maybe it's a bike ride, maybe it's a walk, maybe it is like sitting down in a dark room and actually focusing on that, on your breathing. But like all of these things, if you do it for at least 5 minutes, like all together, it's gonna lower your cortisol, which is that stress hormone. It's gonna make sure that you're putting yourself in a good state and really just bringing down those hormones and reducing your heart rate and boosting that like feeling of calmness. So that's going to be step number 2. Step number 3 is making sure that you're actually getting your exercise and movement in. And I can't stress this enough, guys. A lot of people usually start working out because they've hit a big stressor in their life and they don't know where else to turn. But I feel like once you start getting yourself out of depression or that rut, or like you really start working on yourself, because it takes discipline to work out. They usually tend to, again, put that in the back burner. But then that's, again, counterintuitive, because that's the thing that got you out of that stressful situation. So I can attest for all our members here, because they have all of these things going on, but like this is their hour. They get to come in here 3 times a week and focus on themselves. Because how many times do you guys get pulled? Kids, work, family, like everything going on out there, but it's your responsibility to take care of yourself. So get your exercise in, get your movement in, focus on yourself, making sure that you're putting yourself as a priority, because that is going to be super important for your well-being, to manage your stress. Like, do something that you genuinely love. And like one of the things that we always do every February here at Rev is we play bingo, and it's like I think 25 boxes, but there's 28 days in February, so the whole month it's self-care bingo. Like whether they're doing something for themselves, they're getting a spa treatment, or reading a book, or riding a bike, like it's all of these things that they like, that is self-care for them, and they're focusing on that this entire month. And it's fun to see, because they're writing letters to their future self on where they want to be, and having vision boards, and making sure that they are taking time for themselves, and they're reading books. And it's really cool to see, because they're doing that. They're putting themselves first by coming in here and working out and working on their health. And you can see that shift over time with everything, like their mood, the way they come in, like the way they're interacting with other members or other people, their family back at home. Like, it's not just a workout. Like, that workout just bleeds into all these other areas. So that's why I know that working out and movement is such a good thing. And like, if you guys ask me like what I like to do personally just to de-stress, like, yes, I like going out for walks if it's like just here, but if it were up to me, I'd go up to Sedona, and there's this one trail called West Fork, and that trail is by far the most beautiful thing. So yes, get some movement in, get some sunlight in, get your exercise in, because the last thing is going to be social support. And again, we attest to it here, and we call ourselves the tribe. Like, yes, we're Revolution Strength and Conditioning, but we are a part of the tribe. And the tribe we're strong because we can do anything together. It's our sense of community. Whether we do Spartan races together, we work out together, we see each other like a couple times a week because we're working out consistently. And what have we done this last year? We did a mud run, like all girls mud run. We did the Spartan race. We've done multiple like 5Ks. We've gone on hikes. We've done our Christmas party, done dodgeball, kickball events. Like, it's more than just working out. It's more than just work and family. I feel like so many people come in and during the consult, they're like, well, I don't really do anything else besides work and go home and cook dinner. Like, that's it. And watch TV. Like, I'm glued to the TV. They're not interacting with other people. As much as sometimes you feel like you want to be isolated, it's healthy and good for us to be in a good community. So I know that's super important, and it doesn't have to be like a fitness community. It can be like, there's groups for everything. If you go on Facebook, there you can find a group for everything. But there's, whether you want to find a Christian small group or a group that likes to play pickleball, go hiking, a fitness related one like here at Rev, join the tribe. There's a whole bunch of different things out there and different niches that you can find something that you genuinely like that you can do with other people. And once you start to make those connections, and yes, it might be awkward at first, but trust me, you won't regret it. So that's tip number 5, is making sure that you find yourself a social group, find yourself a sense of community, a sense of accountability. Because the main takeaway is this: stress isn't the enemy. It's really our perception and our inability to manage it that can lead us there. It's really like our sense of perception with that stress and our inability to manage it that can lead us to harm. Because if you really think about it, once you're working out, you're putting your muscles under stress. And because of that stress, they have the ability to now grow, right? So it's really taking in that stressor, making sure you reframe it to be something that's always positive, and then from there, growing from it, learning from it, moving forward through it. Because really, as long as you give yourself some time to rest and adapt to the situation, you're going to come out stronger on the other side. And if you guys really just want to go deeper into this topic, because this is, again, surface level stuff, guys. If you want to go deeper, I'm going to tag some of the podcasts or YouTube videos from Andrew Huberman, Dr. Huberman. He's amazing. Love him. His podcasts are longer, but they're worth it, guys. So if you do want that, go ahead and click those links down below. Because one of the things he says is, remember that you were built to overcome. And we really are. We're built to overcome every situation. We just have to be willing to reframe, adapt, and continue to move forward. Because with the right perspective and the right tools, we're really able to use stress as a positive thing rather than letting it drag us down. Remember, my body is preparing me to rise to the challenge. Because stress can be a powerful ally if you learn how to handle it. All right, guys, so until next time, take a deep breath, find your balance, and keep growing. I'll see you guys in the next one.